For a person in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War, it would seem improbable that Russia, Eurasia, the former Soviet Union, would ever become a close associate with the West and especially America. However, the damage wrought upon the USSR by the Nazis had permanently crippled Soviet governance over their vast domain. In 1950, the overextended Soviet Union had gained Eastern Germany, Bulgaria, and Romania as puppet states. However, they were unable to effectively manage them, especially as nations like Poland and Czechoslovakia remained firmly against Soviet interests. Mikhail Rodionov, the former chairman of the Council of Ministers in the Russian SFSR, would lead a coup against the Soviet government in Moscow in 1952, as infighting over reconstruction reached a boiling point and revolts in the Baltics, Eurasia, and the Ukraine sprouted up. In a symbolic move, he would lower the red banner and replace it with the flag of a new Russian Commonwealth. Since 1987, Dmitry Azov, a junior lieutenant of the Great Patriotic War, has been the president of this Russian Commonwealth. He is on his final year of his 6-year term before the 1993 elections will commence later this year. He is one of the last of the old Soviet military men who have maintained a strong hold on the country's political scene. However, many of them do wholeheartedly believe the social democratic values that the Commonwealth was built upon, Yazov included. Him, alongside his vice president, Mikhail Gorbachev, have worked hard to make the country a working man's republic for all of the Eurasian peoples. This is reflected in the name of the country itself. While informally referred to as Russia, since the Yeltsin presidency of the 1970s, there has been a push to refer to it as the Eurasian Commonwealth or Federation.
Офицерский корпус – становой хребет наших вооруженных сил. Высокий профессионализм офицеров.
The far east of the Eurasian state is colloquially known as the Trouble Area. To the east are remnant forces of the Soviet Union, which fought a guerrilla war with the Rodionov government from 1952 to 1960 until they finally settled in Kamchatka and Vladivostok. Today they occasionally send out parties of terrorists to destabilize the east. The Sokha, Amur, and Tuvan autonomies were established in the 1970s to give the more centralized parts of Siberia the ability to manage their own military matters. They are still, regardless, a part of Russia proper. The Fujian Republic was established in the midst of the Chinese Civil War by Spanish-backed phalangists who adopted a truly barbaric form of Manchu nationalist fascism. The border between the two nations is possibly the most heavily guarded border in the world, as the Amur River became the site of a large battle between Manchu and Russian forces in 1957. The Amur Oblast, while officially a part of Eurasia, has been under Manchu control since 1957, and the occupying powers have done everything they can to assimilate the Russians in the region to a revitalized Manchu culture and language. The Eurasian nuclear stockpile sits at somewhere around 300 nuclear warheads, or about the same amount the United Kingdom had in 1968, and the same amount Spain had in 1956. A large factor in the collapse of the Soviet Union was Stalin's desperate effort in his nuclear program following the atomic bombings of Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and Osaka. US President Jimmy Carter had, in 1984, agreed to allow for the continued expansion of the Eurasian nuclear arsenal to counterbalance the arsenals of Spain and the Balkan Federation. The three most prominent political parties of the Eurasian Commonwealth are as follows. The United Democratic Party is the current ruling party of Eurasia under President Yazov. It is centre-left and advocates for cooperation with NATO, especially when dealing with their eastern neighbours. It has also become rather controversial when they, in 1990, in opposition to United Russia and the Communist Party, legalised same-sex marriage. Its presidential candidate is Mikhail Gorbachev, current VP to Yazov, and its VPC is Konstantin Titov. Originally, his VP was supposed to be Almazbek Atambayev, a Kyrgyz politician who founded the Social Democratic Party of Kyrgyzstan in their regional parliament in 1986. However, he was killed by an assassin in 1992. United Russia is the second largest party in the country and notably reject the notion of pan-Eurasianism altogether. They're a right-wing Russian nationalist party with Sergei Shoigu as presidential candidate and Vladimir Putin, a former FSB official, as his VPC. United Russia has been condemned by Yazov and Gorbachev due to their apparent goals of reintegrating the Baltics and the Ukraine into Russia. The Democratic Party of Russia is a run-of-the-mill center-right conservative party, equivalent to the CDU in Germany, the Republicans in America, or the modern reformed Kuomintang in China. Its PC is Nikolai Tryvkin and its VPC is Alexander Rutskoy. The DPR has notably proposed nuclear test ban and de-escalation treaties between Eurasia, the Balkan Confederation, Spain, and America. However, they haven't been in power to propose it to the mentioned countries.